Hi guys, my name is Maggie. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. In this video, I just wanted to go through how you go about finding a locum agency because I realized that it's something that some people might not know exactly how to go about it. If you're new to the channel, I'm Maggie. I'm a biomedical scientist and I'm actually a locum biomedical scientist. I chose to go locum in 2020, so it was August 2020 is when I first started locuming. When I was doing this, there was nobody around that I could literally ask questions or get some help from in terms of being a locum biomedical scientist. That's why I thought I'll be your girl. So in this video, I'm going to talk you through how to find a locum agency. I do have a few notes because, sometimes you got to write some notes to be accurate, but basically how I went about finding a locum agency, because when I started, literally I didn't know what to do. I had no experience in working as an agency worker or anything like that. So firstly, what exactly is a locum? Which is essentially an agency worker. And it's basically just somebody who is filling a space in a job that either short-staffed, they've got sickness, they're on maternity leave. It's just somebody that is filling a gap. And that's basically where I come in. Firstly, if you're gonna locum, or if you're thinking about being a locum, the first question I would ask you is, why do you want to locum? Because I don't think a lot of the people know the implications of being a locum or what comes with being a locum. I've spoken about stuff like that in other videos and I will link it up here for you. There's a video that I spoke about what questions you should ask yourself before you decide to locum and what other things you'd be giving up if you do decide to locum. So that's one question I'd always ask people is, why would you want to locum? So I think before you even decide to go and locum, ask yourself why you want to be a locum. So you can work as a locum by going through direct engagement with a hospital. It's literally a direct engagement where you are employed by that organization, by that hospital, and that means that you can only work for them. So it does limit you in terms of like working with other hospitals. You can't work with loads of different hospitals as you would if you were working with an agency. So you can work as a bank member of staff, you can work as somebody who's employed through direct engagement as a locum, or you can go through working as an agency, and that is how you can find work as a locum. There is also, once you've become a locum, you're building up a good rapport with these hospitals, you might be in a situation where you're able to go back to those jobs. So that's another way that you can find work. How did I go about finding a locum agency when I started out? I am with an agency. They basically do all the work for me in terms of finding the jobs for me. They will send out my CV and the job will say, yes, we want to work with her, or no, we don't want to work with her. So that's how it works. I remember when I first started, literally I typed into Google locum biomedical scientist jobs and they all came up. I think the most popular agencies will come up at the top, but to me that doesn't necessarily mean they are the best agency. The reason I say that is because I've now had experience in working with a couple of agencies, and I think it's when you actually start working with the agencies that you actually get to know how they work with you. The first thing that you can do to find a locum agency is to type it into Google for your professions. Obviously, like I said, I typed in biomedical scientist. If you're a pharmacist, if you're a doctor, then you start with that. A lot of agencies will come up and you're not going to know what an agency is like until you're working with them. So at that point, you might just choose to just go with one of them or a couple of them. Remember, obviously, that if you do pick one, they probably all have to do training and all of this stuff, which would be a lot of work. A lot will come up at the start. The second way that I found an agency was I looked at the jobs that they had and how available the jobs looked to be. So did they have a lot of jobs popping up, which obviously means that there's a lot more options for me, because I don't want to be in a situation where if I end up in a position that I don't like, I have to stay there. That would make you really, really unhappy, and you don't want to be in a position where you're very unhappy. So I would look at how much work they have and in what areas they're having that work, which areas or hospitals that they're posting up job roles, because that is one of the most important things. It's, are you willing to travel a lot further for work, or do you want to stay in the same sort of vicinity to your local region? So look at what jobs are being posted, what locations the agency covers. Some hospitals obviously will only work with certain type of agency. So if you know about a hospital that you want to work with and you see that a certain agency is posting them, that's most likely that that hospital works with that agency. So that is something that you can look into. The way that you can check this, the way that you can check what jobs are being posted is you can check their website, see what jobs they're obviously posting. If you know any locums in your field, so I would ask a biomedical scientist, any locum social workers, any locum doctors, ask them about any advice, ask them about what agencies they think is best, and hopefully that will help you make your decision. Another thing that you can do is to literally just ring up all the agencies that you have just seen on Google and speak to them, ask them about their availabilities, ask them about what roles they have. But obviously in that position, when you are calling them, don't feel pushed to do anything, because if you're just inquiring, that's all you're doing, you're just inquiring. If you are already employed and you are thinking about potentially potentially go in locum in the future, I would speak to your recruitment office or ring other recruitment offices, check how they engage with locums. Some of them will only engage directly with locums, or some of them will go through an agency, and some of them have their own sort of setups that they have. Talk to them and ask them what agencies they work with, and then you can then go ahead and either, they might even employ you, not on the spot, but they might employ you on the spot, or you can go through their agency that they've just told you about, and then that is how you go about finding yourself a position. Another thing that I was looking at when I was finding a locum agency was the pay rates, because different agencies will pay differently at different ranges. So obviously if you're a locum, you most likely want to have the highest pay. Some agencies will have slightly lower pay ranges to other agencies. Each website will advertise and will tell you what the pay is or what the ranges are for different banding, for example. So that is one thing that I personally looked at. It is what it is. Like, you want to know how much you're going to be getting paid, so that it's not a huge battle when you are trying to negotiate. Find out what the agent is like, the consultant that you're going to be working with. And the difficulty with this is you are not going to know what an agent or consultant is like until you've worked with them, until you've spoken to them, until you've maybe even applied and you're actually on their books. You want somebody who's friendly, somebody who's helpful, somebody who will listen to what you want, what hours you want in terms of work, and that is what they will put you forward for. It's what they will find for you, instead of giving you positions that you don't like. Because you've got to remember, most likely you will end up in this position for months, and you don't want to be in a position that you're not enjoying, because obviously that makes your life difficult. Nobody's here for a difficult life. We don't want that. So when you are starting to locum, make sure you know exactly what you want, and in terms of what hours you want to work, what kind of work life you want. And one thing that I would do is just ask the recruiter questions. There's no harm in asking. Always try and get as much information as you can get if that's what you want, and I'm sure a lot of them will be more than happy to help you. My experience obviously finding a locum agency or working with an agency or agencies that I have worked with prior as well will be different to your experience, and my experience that I've had that's really great with the same agency might be completely different for somebody else. So it's all about just finding what works for you and what doesn't work for you. The most important thing is getting information, speaking to people, asking questions. This is where I come in. So if you do have any questions, drop them in the comments below. If anybody wants a referral to my agency for biomedical science, I know that they also deal with other professions, drop me an email, drop a comment down below, and I can get back to you. So that is basically how I went about finding a locum agency. So just to reiterate, look at the locations that the jobs are being posted for, look at how far you are willing to work, check what the pay rates are, and also try and get a feel for the type of person that you're going to be working with. Speak to people if you can, get as much information as you can, but that is literally the easiest way to find a locum agency. But also you can literally just go down straight onto the Google route and find something through that. A lot of agencies will pop up, but if you stick to what I've just said and look at the different agencies and use the points that I've just mentioned in this video, it shouldn't be too hard. And I wish you all the best if you are thinking about locum. Until my next video, guys, thank you so much for watching, and if you are new, make sure that you like, make sure that you comment, make sure you hit this, I can literally never say subscribe. I can literally never say that word, but make sure you hit subscribe, guys, and I'll see you on my next video. Thank you so much for watching.